Question from YouTube, and by the way, post below because that's where I get the questions for this channel from. How to use body language in game? Other than the obvious eye contact and touching, are there any more advanced techniques to supplement a push-pull style? Low value body language mistakes? Any boss player Todd moves? So there's a lot in this question, but yeah, let's talk about body language, where it's important, where it's not important, those kind of things. There's a lot of people that just say like, just have good body language and that's all of game, and that's kind of bullshit. So the thing about body language, for the most part, when you're talking body language, like eye contact and touching, that's escalation. That's a different topic, and we'll talk about that in a second, right? That's escalation. That's not body language. But body language, it's very hard to body language your way into a girl's heart. It is very easy with bad body language to turn a girl off or appear less attractive. So there's such a thing as bad body language, clearly. Like if you're just like, hi, like that's bad body language, okay? You look weird, you look creepy, you look unassertive, you look a lot of bad things. But good body language pretty much is acting normal. It's not like people say it's super alpha body language. You see guys actually, I don't know if this will come up on camera because of the focus or whatever, but they're like, I have good alpha body language, I'm taking up space, right? That is some bullshit. It doesn't work like that. In fact, you have awful body language because you're looking weird and not normal. Like good body language pretty much is just being normal, right? And so that's why it's hard to like body language your way to a result. You can body language your way towards unattractiveness for sure, but body language to attractiveness, there's not such a thing as big alpha body language, whatever. Now, there are things that do massively help. So things like certain facial expressions that you can use that are flirtatious at the right time with the right timing can definitely help, right? I know that, especially with really hot girls, sometimes when I will deliver a line that's, a bit polarizing, they will look at me and they will look me dead in the eye and they will hold that stare to see if I crack first. And me not cracking first and like maybe leaving a little smirk and like looking them in the eye and not cracking is a massive, massive part of why I get attraction. Because they're essentially shit testing me for compliance. They're essentially looking to see if I'm gonna crack, looking to see if I'm willing to support and back up what I just said, or if I'm gonna back down and be like, I'm sorry, I'm just kidding, that sort of thing. And that is body language sort of, but it's body language conveying an attitude, conveying a message, right? And even eye contact. Eye contact per se is not a thing. You're not like staring the girl down in the set, but eye contact does convey a message. So when you are doing something a little risky and you look the girl in the eye and like give her that, yeah, I know where this is leading kind of look, that says something, right? Or right before a kiss, when you look at the girl's eyes and her lips and her eyes and her lips, it's called triangular gazing, old school technique. But the fact that you are making eye contact there, getting intimate, facing up, slowing things down, that is a message, right? So that's body language conveying a message. It's not body language per se, and it actually relates again to escalation. So here's the thing with all that, like, have good body language mantra. One, it's hard to have great body language that's going to put you over the top. It's easy to have bad body language. But even teaching about bad body language doesn't really work very well. So I will say long time ago, a mode of teaching that was often employed in the pickup industry was to basically tell people the bad body language things that they should fix. Like things like standing like your feet too close together, standing all hunched, those kind of things. Like leaning into a girl when you're talking, things like talking very softly, which isn't technically body language, but it is a physical expression. So all these like bad physical traits, we used to say, okay, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this at the start of a program. And what would happen was the student would get really nervous because of all the things you told them not to do, and they'd go out and do every single one of those things. Because the body language doesn't come from nowhere. The body language comes from your attitude. It comes from your beliefs. It comes from how you're viewing the situation. And if you're viewing the situation as, oh my God, I better not mess up, or oh, I'm low value, I better not like come off that way, well, all of those bad body language things are coming from that mentality. Whereas what we ended up doing eventually is just teach someone the right mentality, teach someone to believe in themselves, act like they're a boss, and be assertive and take risks. And when that happens, your body language will reflect that and you'll get better body language. So naturally, you're gonna stop doing a lot of those bad body language techniques, not because you know them and are trying to stop them, but because there's no longer any reason to do them. You're no longer manifesting them because they were a manifestation of the attitude you had. When you had a low value attitude, you did low value body language. You have a high value attitude, you have higher value body language. And even I've seen students do things that are typically bad body language, but if they just did them like very naturally and like congruently and with some confidence. Like sometimes, here's a funny phenomenon, right? You tell a student to do something and you didn't mean for him to do it in a particular way. And he did it in a really, really bad way with awful body language. But because you told him to do it and you're an authority and he believes you, he does his bad body language with confidence and it works in spite of itself, right? Because it's not about the body language itself, it's about what the body language is reflecting about you. And so if he had unconfident body language, but he clearly was confident and it just was an anomaly, he just mustered his way through it. It didn't matter. Okay, so here's the idea, okay? Body language matters as a form of communication. It matters because of what it says about you, but it doesn't matter per se. So just because you're told not to lean into a girl doesn't mean that leaning into a girl is always bad. There may be some environments, especially loud ones, where you have to lean in and you're not giving power away by doing it. And if you're just like, I refuse to lean in, you're missing something in game, right? Or they say, don't cross your arms. If you look at my infields, there are plenty of infields where I have my arms crossed. Now, I'm not arms crossed like this. It's more arms crossed like this, like I'm almost judging the girl, right? But I am crossing my arms. And people are like, that's closed off. That's not open body language. All right, if you say so, I still pulled the girl, right? So there is not such a thing exactly as this is good body language and bad body language. And there's certainly not such a good thing as alpha body language that in and of itself is going to do game for you. However, body language that's congruent with a message that you're an attractive person is going to help. And body language that's congruent with your escalation is going to help, right? But body language should come from your overall attitude and demeanor and everything else that you're doing. When you deal with it as its own separate entity, that really doesn't particularly work well. Not only, from experience, it doesn't work well for students, but also, if anything, it will just come off as incongruent if you're doing like massive alpha body language without, believing in it or without, supporting it with all the other things that you're doing. So that's my answer on body language. Yes, it's important, but it's focused on way, way, way too much and in a really, really bad way by most people. And it's not nearly as important as you think.